Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one drink that we rule them all. Hope you'd remember your thoughts. Get your Ulu feathers and your Middle Earth guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword plus one. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to come. To the pit, tank. To the pit, tank. The Rocky Mountain pit, tank.
Hi, I'm Guy,
Hi, I'm Troy.
Hi, I'm Alex.
and this is Geek Tank.
The about 2 minutes ago, I didn't have sound through my headphones size podcast.
It's about true. It is about true. I watched that. Yeah.
Yep. Apparently, turning it off and on again, that's the magic trick.
Well, that's kind of good, actually.
Because as far as my computer was concerned, their headphones did not exist.
There were no headphones.
And I'm like, but I'm wearing them.
Headphones that exist on this platform. Do they?
No, Cindy.
Oh, hey. I guess it's been like 3-4 years now, maybe longer than that. I learned how to make really good homemade mac and cheese, like baked in the oven. And then, of course, recently Tara's switched over to gluten-free, so I removed it from my menu of things that I make normally, and got the idea of like, you know what, there's enough alternative flours out there and noodles. I'm going to try to make a gluten-free version of it. And I did that tonight, and it actually turned out really good. So,
Right on.
And I've still got jalapeno cornbread that I don't know if you noticed last time, Guy, but I bought that for you and I.
Oh, well, then I will eat it.
'Cause-
I didn't realize that was the deal.
Because nobody else eats that. Well, Alex might, but nobody else that I know of like spicy stuff. So
Yep.
Yeah,
No.
I didn't see any cornbread there
That
on
sounds reasonable.
Saturday. Sorry, I didn't see the cornbread on Saturday, so I had some.
well, there's like 500 cakes, so
Yeah, there was a lot of cake.
So I'll throw it in the freezer to make sure it makes it to next weekend.
Cool.
But yeah, that's been today. And so our friend of ours posted a thing, and you said this came up on your feed anyway, right, Guy? There's someone you followed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the first I heard about it was from the text that our friend sent us, but a whole mess going on at the Hugo Awards.
Yeah. So we just recently had the 2023 Hugo Awards, and they were held at the 81st World Science Fiction Convention, which was held in Chengdu, China. And this was kind of controversial a little bit, just in and of itself, that it was held there. One of the reasons that it was kind of controversial was because it seemed like a lot of the votes for Chengdu all had the same handwriting. So it appeared that someone, played with the votes there a little or whatever. But needless to say, they voted for that, and then they went on ahead and had their Hugo Awards there. And when they did, there were a number of artists, authors, who were disqualified for unspecified reasons. And this included Neil Gaiman and R.F. Kuang, and of course, Zhiren J. Zhao. And I follow them. So that's an author I follow. And then Paul Weimer, who were disqualified from the Hugos, which would have, one of the big things is that Zhiren J. Zhao has just recently finished a novel that would have been right up there in like the running. Now, they are an author that I've been following for a long time because they're entertaining. Their Instagram is very funny. They get into quite a few scraps about, the way that China is depicted in popular culture. They've got an entire, pretty scathing statement about the live action Mulan, and things like that. but they wrote the reason they came to my attention was because they wrote a novel called Iron Widow, which is effectively like a retelling of a Chinese princess story, except with mecha. And so I was like, I'm in. Like, this is great. And they are also entertaining, but they're Canadian. They moved to Canada when they were in 5th grade. So they're Canadian. So this had they're not Chinese. I mean, they're Chinese ethnically, but they're not Chinese. They're Canadian. And when they found out why the disqualification, there was leaked emails about this. And when the leaked emails got out, they found out that disqualification was for anything that they were worried the Chinese government would be bothered by. And since Iron Widow has a lot of not positive cultural statements to make about China's view of female emperors or empresses, and things like
No,
that.
female emperor is correct.
Yes, female
They
emperor.
They don't have a word for empress.
I
Or they didn't.
figured there wasn't, but thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, female emperor. They disqualified her, fearing that would go awry with the Chinese government. The article that you guys got that was from our friend was from a different author who had written a very good story, but because of the nature of all of this, she got nominated and won. When now she's found out that she shouldn't have won a Hugo necessarily because Neil Gaiman was in there. But since Neil Gaiman was in there for one of the episodes of Sandman, but again, it ran afoul of what the Hugo Award group felt would offend the Chinese government. So they disqualified it. And I'm thinking, wow, that's so the author that you're talking about that our friend got involved with, that author now feels kind of cheated. Like she shouldn't have won. She won because all of these other Chinese authors have been knocked out because they would have offended the government.
Yeah, she was saying that she didn't even expect to make it into the finalists.
Right.
And so she was extremely surprised when she found out she made it into the finalists, and then she won, and all this came to light, and she's like, this is ill-gotten. I don't want this.
She doesn't want it. She didn't even go to accept it. Which is interesting because Zhiranje Zhao did go to China, in fact, and went there for the ceremony. I'm not sure if that's where they found out that they weren't involved. I'm not sure, but I've been following that author for a while, and this all happened. Hey, Bob. This all went down, and I was watching it real time through this author. And I'm like going, wow, that's pretty brutal. And now it's becoming a bigger deal. It's important to note, though, that the Hugo Awards self-censored. They didn't censor, the Chinese government didn't tell them to do these things. They did it in anticipation of the Chinese government being upset about it.
Man, fuck you, Hugos.
Right?
Way to take a stand.
So something that I found out that I like in my last 5 minutes of detective work, because I know very little about the Hugo Awards other than it being literary and science fiction connected.
Yes.
But where is it here?
So yeah, real quickly before you
go right ahead. When you're done, I'll jump in.
Say, for those who are not familiar with the Hugo Awards, that's the top award for science fiction. That's your top. If you get a Hugo, that's your Oscar. That's the top prize for science fiction writing. Named after, oddly, Victor Hugo, which I guess you could kind of say Les Mis would be sort of science fiction-y. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I can't find the exact quote I saw, but it was basically saying that the website and the official website and stuff for the Hugo Awards and the other group aren't the ones who vote each year, but it's the committee of whoever's hosting it that year.
Right.
So because one of the things I was wondering earlier today was what other previous Hugo Awards have been tainted with racism and such. And if each one's a different committee each time, at least that makes it slightly less likely that it was just been systemic through the entire run of all the Hugo Awards. But we know how racism is. I'm sure there's been other Hugo Awards that this just didn't get caught with.
Yeah, I mean, except that I'm not 100% sure this was racism so much as politicism.
Well, it was politicism based off of a specific
Yeah,
race.
but I mean, like, of the 4 known people who were disqualified, only 2 of them were ethnically Chinese. The other 2 were Neil Gaiman and Paul Weimer.
I thought I read something where a whole lot more by the author who won. I thought the thing I read from her said that there was a lot more that was removed. That's why I was thinking that.
I mean, that's entirely plausible. Of course, from Zaren's, from their Instagram, it's all about them, which makes sense. It's their Instagram, so that kind of is logical. It's all about them. Although they have mentioned that there were other authors, but they seem to think it was politically motivated. You know, like because their book ran afoul of the way that the Chinese perceive whatever that mythology.
And I'm going to post it in here for anybody who wants to read. The author who won, who also unwon by her own choice, there was Samantha Mills, and her short story was Rabbit Test. But here's Control V. Here is what she had to say if anybody wants to read up on that.
Yeah, and correction, the Hugo Awards are named after Hugo Gernsback, founder of the science fiction magazine Amazing Stories, not Victor
Which makes
Hugo.
total sense. That makes more sense than Victor Hugo. Somebody had told me it was well, I've been following the Hugo Awards since I was a child. It is entirely plausible that at age 7, I went to my mother and said, "Mom, what are the Hugo Awards named after?" And she said, "Victor Hugo." And I just rolled that in my brain forever.
Your mom.
Yep. Thank you, Alex, once again. Good correct.
So, yeah, I was just trying to skim through that real quick, but she is saying it definitely looked like it was xenophobic related.
I'm willing to go with that.
But yeah, this is interesting catch. Then I'm wondering how this will affect future ones. Like, will they switch it up so it's no longer a different committee each time, and maybe have a committee that's been heavily vetted? And
so to that end, Glasgow 2024 is the next.
Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow 2024 is the next committee, and the chairperson of that is Esther McCollum Stewart, and she announced that they will have an updated process that ensures transparency. The reasons for any disqualifications of potential finalists will be published no later than April of 2024. And the full voting results, nominating statistics, and voting statistics will be published immediately following the awards ceremony on 11 August 2024. As of that, the Hugo Administration Subcommittee will publish a log explaining any decisions they have made in interpreting the Constitution. So that was part of the problem right there, was the Constitution that the Hugo Awards used. That was part of the complaint that I'm looking up to see if I can find in my Instagram feed, so that I can find them in my Instagram feed, because they had more information to say in the Instagram feed. So
yeah, I wasn't able to find a complete list of ineligibilities or disqualifications, just 4 big names, including others. Or among others is what I was finding. So there's probably a list out there, but I was not able to find it in short notice. But yeah, some transparency would be nice.
Yeah.
Always good.
I feel like that's what we're looking for more here is transparency. Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, but that self-censorship stuff, really, way to go, go, Hugo Awards. That's a great look for the premier science fiction award, people.
Oh no, I have seized up my.
Too much on the gram.
Yeah, I'm trying to search in Instagram and I mistyped their name and now it's seized up looking for them.
The award to worst decision goes to Hugo Award Academy of 2024.
Right, go to the Chinese Hugo Awards. But I find this. Come on, you had it. Why are you searching again? Jeez Louise. All right. So they have. Hey, people, guess who got disqualified from the Hugo Awards for political reasons? So they're saying political reasons, straight up.
Yeah. Make no mistake, there are racial undercurrents to that.
I can imagine. I'm not saying there aren't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that doesn't seem to be where.
I mean,
Aaron's going.
Of course, intellectual racists are never going to say it's because of racism.
Yeah, no, this is from the person who'd happened to. So
yeah, I'm like,
so yeah, right. The question has been answered multiple times, says Dave McCarthy. After reviewing the Constitution, I've got to stop her because she goes too fast. And then she's been emailing somebody there and he says, I'll head you off at the pass. The answer to your question is exactly the same as the one previously given. And then clearly you can't understand plain English in our Constitution statements. So like, this isn't really very appropriate behavior. And then he says, this was asked and answered. And then he says, are you slow? And it's like, this is really, really rude responses coming in, and so I'm fascinated by like the way this went through this whole thing, because it seems like they're hostile. Some of these people are hostile.
So I got something here that says on June 5th, head of the 2023 Hugo Awards jury wrote, we need to highlight anything of a sensitive political nature in the work. It's not necessary to read everything, but if the work focuses on China, Taiwan, Tibet, or other topics that may be an issue in China, that needs to be highlighted so that we can determine if it is safe to put it on the ballot or if the law will require us to make an administrative decision about it. So there's emails going around that's exposing the jury for the awards.
Let us self-censor and show them that we're willing to play ball, because certainly that will not make them try to even reach farther than we're willing to do. Historically speaking, that's always worked. Self-censorship, that's always made authoritarians stop and go, oh, they're on our side. They never ever try to just keep reaching for more.
So
science fiction has never explored this type of topic before, you stupid assholes.
Right.
I'm going to get into some arguments at Mile High Con this year. Here we go.
Finally.
What do you do here? I'm head of security, motherfucker.
Finally, some drama at Mile High Con.
Between 5 people. The funny part is I doubt seriously this would be the first time that we've had an intellectual argument about something involving books at Mile High Con.
Right.
But yeah, the quote actually is, after reviewing the Constitution and the rules we must follow, the administration team determined those persons were not eligible. And it says, but the problem is they were trying to get a definition of why. And it took some time for that to happen. So, and it took the leaked emails. So that's fascinating. All of this stuff is fascinating, and kind of upsetting. start an argument. I don't think
Disappointing.
anybody at NDK would be that particularly pressed. Not because I think that people, but I mean, I don't think that's their Bollywick. I don't think that's their
Staffers.
Yeah, I mean, the staffers might
attendees. I
get
mean, some of
into
the
a
attendees will be down, but most of them are there for anime.
yeah. That's I don't
And
think the attendees would go for it.
not their scene. And if it is their scene, cool. But I mean, it's not right to try to start that argument.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Either way, it does seem like the committee for Glasgow Worldcon is apologizing openly for the committee, but in that instance, that's kind of that's even though I find that to be nice to hear, the committees are drawn from the countries that the host country, and of course, this is England now, so this is the UK. So this is the UK apologizing for the committee in China. The committee in China is not saying anything.
Come on, UK,
Right.
quit acting like Canada.
Right?
Quit
I'm
apologizing.
so sorry. Yep. So, but I mean that it does. I don't know. I mean the thing is, of course, I'm outraged because this is an artist that I follow. So I'm like sort of already outraged by this to some degree. And frankly, I wanted to write novels and get a Hugo one day. That was sort of one of those little pet dreams in my head, because I write sci-fi.
I might have
And
missed
so-
it. Did you say why Neil Gaiman fell into the category? Did he? Because I don't
Sandman,
remember.
an episode of Sandman.
But I was trying to remember which episode of Sandman had anything to do with China.
I don't know. Let's see if I can find something.
I've seen it twice,
Yeah.
so I feel stupid not knowing what it might be.
You imbecile. It's
I
Gaiman,
know.
by the way.
Gaiman, sorry.
Gaiman. Let's see if the Guardian says anything.
I'm trying to think too. I'm like, I just rewatched it too.
I don't know.
Third.
I mean, obviously, Jiran had said that it was an episode of Sandman, but didn't say anything further than that because they were concentrating on their book, obviously. Because Zhao's books are a reimagining of the rise of the Chinese Empress Wu Zetian. And I don't know if that would be a negative in China. We were told to vet nominees for work focusing on China, Taiwan, Tibet, and other topics that may be an issue in China. And to my shame, I did so. Says, oh, wow. So actually, the administration team, Diane Lacey, Chris Barkley, and Jason Sanford, they were all science fiction writers who were also journalists. They published a report on the controversy on Wednesday and published a statement saying that they were told to vet it, and they did. And then, of course, Zhao replies saying, I cannot believe the Western members of the admin team chose to willingly participate in this instead of upholding the integrity of the awards. They're not wrong. It's kind of, I'm trying to see what is the episode?
Brent saying is the Sandman, the sound of her wings. So maybe the
Death.
portrayal of death.
Maybe the death. Yeah, maybe.
Being a female, a female of color.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I didn't detect anything that would go.
I mean,
awry with death.
If we're looking at
Dee
cultures,
I love Dee Dee.
If we're thinking about cultures, though, we're thinking perhaps like how the portrayal of death is versus their cultural portrayal of death.
This person's speculating that the current theory comes from when he signed an open letter to the Chinese government to free jailed writers with 40 other authors. Another one is saying the CCP isn't big on ghosts, skeletons, or homosexuality, so really anything that he's written could be that part of it.
Neil Gaiman definitely does blur a lot of lines there. I could see That would definitely be a thing.
Yeah, and the Sandman as a work is one of those universes where the setting is just all myths are true,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, sorry.
if
I was
there
trying to
is,
open that. Didn't work.
how dare you, Sarah?
I know.
But so I can see where that would, if you're an authoritarian going to totalitarianism, your myth is true, no one else's myths are true.
Right. From the cultural side of that, that's very
and
that's very apt, very astute.
And as far as the Iron Widow, the first, maybe only female emperor is concerned, I actually just recently watched a series about her, a short series, like an hour or so, 10 minutes, 15 minutes long, an episode, where she is. I mean, and this was done by Westerners, but the historical figure is, on the one hand, kind of hidden from history. But on the other hand, is so influential that you can't erase her.
Right.
Which is, that's a sticky dichotomy, double think thing. And anyway, so yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. Another thing you can't erase, though, is our sponsors, because Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, The Massage Wizard, and
Your mom. Even if she does say things bad about China, she still sponsors us. So there. China. Now they're going to come after us.
That was a good break there. I know I'm about 30 seconds early, but figured that was a good break in the conversation because what Alex had said was very good, but also complete. It was a complete thought. So I was like, before we start a new thought.
Premature sponsoring.
Premature sponsor. Their pills.
Oh, Brent just dissed your segue.
Dogging you out.
Mm-hmm.
Go get him.
I have bad segues all the time. Change the motor out. They run fine, though.
Didn't the invent to rabbit hole? Didn't the inventor of the Segway die driving off of a cliff on a Segway?
That sounds. I mean, on
you have Google.
I do.
Totally sounds like something made up. I'm just saying.
It does, doesn't it?
Of all the things that
inventor of Segway launched into low orbit from exploding Segway.
That's right. I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Well, first of all, he's not dead.
Right.
So that's gonna
that's
a wrinkle.
Put a big hole in your theory.
Yep. Oh, hang on. But someone did die. Imagine that.
So this is one of those interesting things. The question here, of course, is, it's got a couple of questions that make me really, both concerned and interested and fascinated in a political scientist sort of view. But can the host city influence an awards ceremony? And if so, should we avoid host cities? That kind of thing. These are kind of things that, for example, if there was something that would run afoul of, whatever we would call appropriatism in the United States, or if it was a country that was more explicitly Catholic, and you had a story that involved, say, abortion or something like that. This brings to question the same questions that I usually have when it comes to art, which is, art is supposed to shake us up a little. That's what it's supposed to do. That's its job. So, Can you censor it? Should you censor it? How do you censor it? What do we do when it is censored?
Oh,
These are the questions I'm kind of thinking about.
what I'm wondering too is that are the cities, conventions, events that are having these Hugo committees and the conventions and the Hugo doing their thing there, do they perchance petition to have the Hugo? Sort of like the Olympics, or is it sort of like does the Hugo committee just sort of be like, yeah, we're going to do it in Glasgow, and then we're going to do it in...
That's actually that was what they had said, was that the last time it was voted for, they voted for that city, but it seemed that all of the votes for that city in China all had the same handwriting.
Right.
So thus, it implies to me that they do a vote of some sort.
That's something
people can apparently throw the vote.
I would say that I don't know. It seems to me that if you're going to try to get the Hugo, the Olympics, the whatever in your country, nation, city, state, then you kind of expect. I mean, maybe you think you can control it all, but you're kind of opening yourself up to this thing. You know, you're going to have the Hugos at the Vatican. You know, it's like, well, there might be some anti-Christianity stuff in the Hugos, and if you petition for it, well, you get what you petition for. Bit of a monkey's paw there, you know. Careful what you wish for; you may just get it. But I also understand, like, if you are on the Hugo committee, and not America doesn't have, the U.S. doesn't have a really big history of this, but let's say everyone's favorite punching bag right now against American hegemony, Moscow. The Russians and Putin, he does have a history of putting people in jail or detaining them or house arresting them or murdering them.
Just happened recently.
It'd be the kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, it makes more sense to me that, oh, I like, you know, we're going to be, of course, you know, Asian and Chinese science fiction is very prevalent and very influential now, and there's many great voices and great perspectives that we're having. Oh, they want us to have it in China. Well, because we don't think we can be honest, read between the lines, we don't want to be detained / fined / whatever. We're not going to have it there. You can take this little feather in your cap and no, you don't get to have it.
Right.
Because we have concerns. And that itself is a political statement that can be made from the safety of not in China.
Right.
And just not have it there. But
I want to add real quickly, because and as a side note here, looking up the 81st World Science Fiction Convention, which is where this all went down, has multiple problems. Not only were the votes cast for Chengdu to have the same handwriting, but they used the same mailing address. So this is even more aggravating. 100 authors signed an open letter to the World Science Fiction Society asking it to revoke the bid for that, and in protest of the ongoing genocide in the western province of Jiangxing. So
the Hugo people get this, and they're like, nah, it's cool.
Right.
Stuff in the ballot box is cool.
Right.
Self-censorship is cool.
This looks super obvious.
Like what the hell? Like, did they give you each a dump truck load of money to push this through? Like, what the fuck, people?
Right? I don't know. Monkey paw. you said monkey paw. Now I'm fixated on it. I'm like, it's totally true. It's totally true.
Fuck around and find out.
Yep.
So to answer the question, it wasn't the creator, but it was the president. So the accident that I was thinking of involved a guy named Jim Hesselden, the former owner of the parent company of Segway Incorporated, back in that he bought in 2009. He drove off of a cliff near his home on one of the Segways, and it killed him because gravity will do that to you.
Like what the just just a lapse of judgment or drunk segueing
They
or
don't know. They just know that
blizzard
He was just
he
found dead at the bottom
or
of the
he
cliff.
went off driving, and then his body was found at the bottom of the ravine with his Segway.
you
It
know
was an
too much
all-terrain Segway.
too much pressure, and he just
Um,
had to end it all.
was it
No,
murder?
Is it
I mean, after a
murder?
certain number of years of abuse, those segways will get crazy and do something to you. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
He was probably
I'm not
just
gonna
using his
feel,
Segway.
I'm not gonna feel too bad because he's a billionaire, so he definitely had some quality of life there.
Yeah.
So, but so don't drive Segways near the edge of cliffs. That's the moral of the story,
Gotcha. All
I
right.
guess. But so anyway, I was half right and half wrong. Ah, man.
As a side note, it does say here that, and I'm hopping through Wikipedia articles at this point in time.
Nice.
3 months after the convention, the awards became the subject of a further controversy. Statistics about the voting normally released the night of the awards were withheld for 3 months.
Right,
And
I heard about that.
when they were released, yeah, I'm just going through, and did the authors learn that 4 works, including 2 highly favored to win, had instead been ruled ineligible. So I mean, that's the big thing, is that it was 4 works specifically. So I'm not sure, because I agree with you. The article that we had read that was posted by our buddy indicated there were a lot of works, but Zhao was slated to win. They thought they had it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why they're pissed off. Can't blame them. You know.
Yeah. When I was searching around, I was doing 2 different search terms, trying to find different things, and the most comprehensive thing I could see was the big 4, among others. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is very specific about 4 works, including 2 highly favored to win. But there's no citing on this particular one.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out. Oh, well, there is a site there. So let's see where that goes. Esquire. Let's see what this says. I'm not going to lie, though. That's a pretty wicked looking museum. They've got a science fiction museum in Chengdu that is pretty impressive.
We are not set. Yeah. Cool.
That's cool. I'm just
cool. Hopefully it's legit and not, all authoritarian. He says from living in an authoritarian-like country.
Yeah, it just seems to bring these 4. Sandman, Neil Gaiman, Babel author R.F. Kuang, Iron Widow novelist Zhen J. Zhao.
I get if you're going for the biggest names,
All 4 of them earned enough votes to be finalists, and therefore eventually winners. And this is an Esquire article. Fascinating. Anyway, I'm just okay. Well, more than 100 authors, including N.K. Jemisin, G. Willow Wilson, S.A. Chakrabarty, and Tochi Onyabuchi, signed an open letter in protest. So that's the protest letter.
Right. Like, how about we not give them a feather in their cap? Just saying.
No, I mean, that's the protest letter that they signed. It says that they wanted to not be in China because
exactly. Like, let's not give the
that's fair.
The ruling regime a feather in their cap of having this prestigious science fiction award done in their country because they're a bunch of authoritarian a-holes.
In the history of the awards, no works have ever been deemed ineligible like this. Many people who had expected Kuang to win for Babel were now stunned to see she very well could have. And McCarty, who's on the committee, Dave McCarty. That's the one who was being snarky earlier, who I quoted. McCarty's refusal to explain what happened made everything worse. McCarty, in fact, did not respond to Esquire's requests either. When you're getting calls from a magazine like Esquire, that's, that's a thing.
So who's McCarty? Is he an author or
he's one of the
a
people
creator?
on the committee.
On the committee. Oh, okay. So wait, listen to your PR person,
right?
McCarty.
Yeah. So Dave McCarty is on the committee, and this is the one whom I was quoting before was being super rude on the calling people names effectively.
Yeah.
I'd quoted those before because Jiang had Jiren had put that into their post.
Maybe McCarty secretly wanted it to come out,
right?
Or maybe he's just an asshole.
Maybe he
there's a
is.
spectrum.
John Scalzi says fandom doesn't like people screwing with their awards, no matter who does it or why.
Right.
The reason people are outraged right now is because they care about the award in one fashion or another. And this lack of transparency feels like a slap. I agree. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. This is a hit, and this is a smack in the face for a pretty powerful and influential award. Being a Hugo Award winner is a big deal for an author.
Yeah, the one who basically refused to accept it before she knew that this was all a big controversy. She had a book coming out and had on the book put Hugo Award winner.
Right.
And so now the first printing is going to have it on there. And because today's a holiday, it's like I don't want to bother people to stop printing the books. So I'll have to do this tomorrow and tell them
extra rare.
It. Yep. That's what she said. It'll be like the collectible messed up version.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Wild.
Mm-hmm. This reminds me of the whole figure skating thing that Guy and I saw together at one of the watching on TV at that one Winter Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the Russian judges had it rigged.
Wow, a sport that you cannot that is only judged. There's no actual objective agreed upon facts on judging.
Mm-hmm.
Can be rife with corruption. Who knew?
Sorry.
I remember watching that and being completely perplexed by the calls on those. You're right.
For those of you who don't know,
because that was all gymnastics.
Alex has something.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I have no qualm about their dedication and their athleticism, and the things they can do is amazing. But the Olympics, to me, should have clearly defined winners and losers, not judged. Like who was faster, who was stronger, who threw it farther, who jumped farther, who beat this other person into submission. Mm-hmm. Those are things that are Olympic class sports. They got the 9.8 and my people got the 9.9, so therefore they win. No, fuck that shit. Not Olympic class sport. Fight me.
Yeah, that's the credo of the Olympics: is higher, farther, faster. You'd think that would be judgeable.
The things they do are amazing and beautiful.
Yeah,
the GOAT is the GOAT for a goddamn reason. She's amazing. Sorry, not Olympic class, not Olympic.
Mm-hmm.
But best in the world, greatest of all time, yes.
Yeah, having a thing where it's just like it's all off of subjectivity.
No.
Nope. Yeah, I'm not really into figure skating, and we were watching it, and I'm like, I don't know anything about this, but didn't that couple just do worse than the other couple, but yet somehow they won? Can you explain that to me? And Guy's like, nope. They were worse.
Yeah. Well, because, despite my agreement with Alex on this one, there are very clearly defined sets of rules for gymnastics and things like that. So it is possible, as Troy had mentioned, when I watched the perform or the competition, it was pretty clear that they were throwing it in favor of, because they weren't following all the rules. And even though judging sounds like, oh, we'll just give them a 4 on this one and a 2 on this one, it really isn't. It's a matter of technical errors, and it's a matter of making mistakes in the performance and stuff like that. And that was what Troy was asking, was like, didn't they fall a lot in this one? I was like, yeah, that should have been a 3-point deduction here, a 4-point deduction here, and neither one of those are showing up. So there's a little bit of clarity there that, to the point. It's not that I disagree also with Alex's statement, because there is a certain amount of truth to what you're saying.
Yeah, because like the Olympic hockey teams, it's clear who won.
Right.
They don't like, did he shoot that goal well enough to count as a goal? Well, did it go in the net?
That was
Yes.
a 5.3 goal there, I think. Yeah. It didn't hit the center of the net. But I mean, my favorite sport in the Olympics is archery. And there is most definitely a very clear, how close to dead center did you get? It's like, that's very clear. Like, and you have, how many flights did you get near dead center? Okay. You can't question that.
I had to look this up. Okay, it's 2002. As a Russian judge and a French judge conspired to put the Russian pairs team, it has their names, in first place in exchange for awarding the gold to the French ice dance team.
Which explained a whole bunch, because I don't watch ice dancing. That wasn't ever my thing, but pairs is definitely my thing. Mm-hmm. And so I could see it was obvious in pairs. I was like, wait, what?
Dun, dun, dun.
Ta-da.
Right? That's right, because it was skating. Now I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was at Greenwood. In your room with the window facing the street. Yep.
And if you remember, we were watching it because it had just been shortly after Mom passed away. And so we were kind of watching it in her honor, because she would have watched that, but didn't. And so we all kind of got together and sat on the couch and watched it. And but I mean, I remember it all happening. And I remember me going, that's not right. That was an error. They're not getting the points taken off for their errors. Even you had noticed, and
and I don't
you
know,
weren't even like, you didn't grow up with it like I did.
I know when someone falls down, though.
Right?
It seems pretty bad when you're on the world stage of the best of the best of the best.
I can go fall down.
Watch me.
Yep. Whee! Oh. Well, I really hope that the authors that were slighted by this whole mess, I hope that gets sorted out and they get the awards they want. Because I really don't know how they could fix this now, unless they just do a whole another round of judging with a non-contaminated group.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even really the judges, though, that were the problem. It's the ones who disqualified the people who shouldn't have been disqualified, right? Who made them ineligible. Yeah. So they'd have to just go back through and make everyone that should have been eligible and redo it. But I don't know if they're going to go through that trouble.
I don't know if they've got a procedure for that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, by next year, you've got to judge all the people who produced science fiction in 2023. Mm-hmm. You have to judge them there. You have to kind of take them from that point. And since the books in question would have been from 2022, that's not exactly a fair. You can't just put them in the mix.
Yeah, I did see a thing here. I'm looking it back up again, called the Retro Hugos. Retrospective Hugo Awards were added as a concept to the Hugo Awards in '96. They are awards given for years in which no Hugos were originally awarded. So there's at least a precedence of...
There's a precedent for retro.
Something.
But that was for things like Isaac Asimov.
Right.
I mean, that was the original intention, was to award Hugos to Isaac Asimov, which happened before the Hugos. Asimov was almost dead by the time the kind of things. So yeah, I could see that.
Cool.
Meanwhile, allegations of censorship have spread like Star Trek tribbles. Sometimes
nerds.
Awesome. Oh man, it's interesting that Gaiman, Kwong, and Zhao all declined to comment with Esquire. I find that
they have PR people.
Yeah, that's probably true. That makes sense. But Weimer says that it probably came from one of his Patreon posts in 2021, where he expressed concerns about holding the Hugos in China, and that may have marked him for censorship because he thinks it's possible that the CCP took umbrage at my piece, or the convention felt that they might, and so I was rendered ineligible.
As the great film Kung Fu Panda says, we often meet our destiny on the road taken to avoid it.
I love that, by the way. I just absolutely love Kung Fu Panda.
It's a fucking amazing film.
It's amazing.
And, like as much as the other two are not that great. I mean, especially they're not bad.
They're not bad.
But they're much more personal. Where the first one is much more, I don't know, martial arts universal. I'm probably going to see the next one in the theater in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was of that opinion that I might do that too.
So, yeah.
Hey, we actually stayed pretty much on the same topic for the whole show.
Holy shit!
I know.
It's like we had a producer.
Moreover, we stayed on the same topic, and it was newsworthy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the layoffs going on over at Wizards of the Coast, some other time.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to mention in our last few minutes,
yes,
nerdworthy thing. So my wife and I, years and years ago, played through Diablo 2 several times. Enjoyed it, loved it, had a great time, different character builds. And then when Diablo 3 came out, we did not play it because it was online only, had to be on their servers, yada yada. And unlike everybody, almost everybody else who's like, I'm not going to support Blizzard for doing this. Oh, I'm still going to buy Diablo when it comes out because I love Diablo. Yeah, okay, whatever. Courage of your convictions, people. So I actually didn't play it until Diablo 3, until it was out for console, because that was local co-op without having to be online, or you were online, because consoles are always online now.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, we can play together and have a good time. This weekend, I purchased a third controller for my PS4. And today, my wife and my child and I started playing Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls on our PS4. And, but as you may or may not know, my wife has MS. And one of the ways it manifests is attention tremor. The more she tries to focus on something, doing something with her hands, the more her hands shake. And so we're working on a controller and being patient. Lauren's trying to relearn how to negotiate a controller. Nova's learned how to negotiate a PS4 controller at all. She's played a little bit, but not to this intensity. And we played for about an hour today and had a really good time.
Nice.
Yeah, we're playing on just regular mode, just normal difficulty, nice and relaxed. I know we're not going to get fully spec gear, and that's not the goddamn point. Dune Part 2 is coming out in a couple weeks. Cool. Mm-hmm. I'm happy. I will absolutely see that in the theater. I really enjoyed Dune Part 1. I think we almost...
Me too.
I know me and Guy saw it. Did you see it with us, Troy?
I did not see Dune with you guys.
Okay. And so, I know Guy was part of the group. We saw it in the theater in Harkins in Arvada. Oh, by the way, we saw it with Mr. Porter, Jesse, who passed away about a year ago. Raise a glass.
True. Raise a glass.
And so I really enjoyed it. I'm more than happy to play some more Diablo, or sorry, watch some more Dune and play some more Diablo. I know D4 is out, but I already have Part 3 Reapers for PS4. We'll want, and I know it's locally co-op for Diablo 4 as well, but we're gonna take our time. But no, it's some other friends of mine have said we should totally play it together, and I'm like, you know what, friends, I love you, but you're also the same friends who keep on trying to get me into games, and then when I get into them, you guys get out of them. So I'm gonna do this at my own pace.
Dan got me a copy of Diablo 3 for console,
Nice.
and last year my wife and I started playing it, but we don't tackle it with like any kind of consistency. So every time we go back, we're like, what were we doing? How do these powers work again?
Right?
What was that?
You got to keep at least a little bit of consistency there.
Yeah.
The IMAX, that's my personal feelings on watching films in the IMAX. If you watch it in an IMAX theater, like say at Dave and Buster's, there's only a few seats that are actually decent. Like I've seen a few films there, and I've been like, oh, this I didn't get like the actual good seats, and this looks like hammered shit, or like fuzzy shit. But like I will say that I saw the second Matrix movie, sorry, in the theater, the IMAX theater at the Luxor in Vegas, which was like and we were up in like, well, they have a specific band of seats. It's not like a big full theater, all the way up, all on XYZ axis, and a specific band on that axis and on the horizontal axis. And we were in the upper right-hand corner of that specific axis. It still looked amazing. So I honestly don't watch anything in IMAX unless I can get those seats. If I can't get those seats, I'm like, fuck off. Not spending the extra money. I cannot wait for, I can't wait. Dune 2, I love what they did with Dune 1. It's an amazing advertisement for the book. But I have something very specific I want to see as the first scene, if not, or maybe in the first 3, but the first scene of the movie, and I'll get into it when we see it.
So that said, when you go, make sure that I go with you, because I kind of like the idea of the synergy of that. You know what I mean? We saw it together in Dune 1, and I want to see Dune 2 with you.
Oh yeah.
So
we'll go. I'll hit up the bar. We'll get a drink. We'll stroll on in. Hell yeah.
Sounds awesome to me. Let me know.
Cool. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate you guys all being here today. And Dune 3, right? It's probably true. Hey, Troy, you going to take control of closing the show out?
Yeah, I got it. So you can start the spiel.
Okay. Well, that's all the time that we've got for today. I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.